O'Hare Airport is absolutely gigantic. With a city as big as Chicago, it needs a massive airport. Well, two massive airports, but Midway sucks. O'Hare Airport is one of the largest in the world, taking up over 7,600 acres of land, and with more inbound and outbound flights than any other airport in the world, this place is an AvGeek's paradise. The variety of flights here is limitless. You can get standard passenger narrow bodies, regional jets, giant cargo flights, and even massive passenger-carrying behemoths. O'Hare has everything. Unfortunately, it doesn't have a nice spot where you can sit and watch all 8 runways at once, but with how big it is, that shouldn't be a shock. The best spot at O'Hare, and the one I ended up with on my visit on during May 24th, 2026, was The Hill. A hill that's part of a construction site on the south edge of O'Hare. This place gives a great overview of the entire airport, which you're seeing now, and is absolutely the best place to catch flights coming in. My visit to O'Hare was pretty much a secondary visit, but it eventually became the highlight of the trip. During Memorial Day weekend of 2026, me and my dad were heading to Chicago for our annual Chicagoland Memorial Day extravaganza, which usually involves trains on CN and CPKC. And those CPKC trains are in Bensonville Yard, which is right by O'Hare Airport. And since I had gotten a recent new fascination with aircraft thanks to my buddy PVT Panzer, who is a massive AvGeek, I decided to make a stop at O'Hare to see what stuff I could get and see how much jealousy I could give him from all the awesome flights I caught. The road into our hotel was an absolute mess. Since my dad's phone was almost dead and we needed it for flight radar, we decided to go to the hotel for a bit to charge it. And on the way, we passed by some of the planes parked in the terminals at O'Hare, giving me my first look at wide bodies in my entire life. Yeah, this was my first time plane spotting. Once we finally made it to the hotel, we charged my dad's phone for about an hour and a half, and also rested because we had been doing a lot of walking at Pine Junction earlier on this day, before finally heading away to the infamous O'Hare Hill. I was kinda convinced that it would be closed or off limits or completely non-existent due to several videos I had seen saying farewell to the O'Hare Hill or something along those lines, but nope, it was there in all its glory. Once we got there, we immediately noticed 3 FedEx 767Fs parked at the FedEx terminal right by the hill, which is a cool sight to see since these 767s aren't very common these days. And after that, I finally got my first proper flight, which was an American Airlines 737. Quite fitting for Memorial Day weekend. And immediately after was my first wide body and certainly one of the highlights of the trip, a CMA CGM Air Cargo 777. This airline has a total of 6 aircraft, so it was remarkable to see one. Immediately following was the first of shockingly few regional flights we saw, which was one of the crappy regional jet CRJ-7s working for American Eagle. Next, I got a very small Airbus A319. Panzer absolutely hates these, and I don't know why. I personally think they're pretty cute. A ubiquitous United Airlines 737 followed the A319 in. This Airbus A321 was the only Delta flight I saw the whole time I was there. It was followed by another Boeing United 737, but this is a slightly older and slightly smaller one. Then I caught sight of an absolute beauty coming my way, a Cargolux 747. There truly isn't anything like the 747. It has the nickname Queen of the Skies for a reason, and seeing it in person made me appreciate it even more than I already appreciate it. Today it's really only used in cargo flights, but thankfully a lot of airlines that have them, like Cargolux, UPS, Atlas Air, etc., have a huge hub in O'Hare, meaning that they're not too rare here. This one wasn't going to come on the near runway, but it was going to take off, giving me this cool rotation and takeoff shot. Cargolux has my second favorite livery of all the 747s that fly into O'Hare, so it was really nice to see one, and it gave me one of only 2 departures I saw this whole trip. The Cargolux flight took off just in time for me to whip my camera around and get a hastily improvised shot of a UPS 757 freighter coming in on the close runway. After that, I got my first passenger widebody, a Finnair A330 coming in with a special livery. Behind the regular Finnair white on the front was a blue section with flowers. I would say the actual name of the livery, but I can't because it's Finnish and I'm scared of mispronouncing it. Meanwhile, on the far runway, another special livery was racing the Finnair A330 into the airport. It was another Cargolux 747 with the Not Without My Mask special livery. Then came an uninterrupted parade of 5 United flights, 3 of them being 737s, one was an A321, one was a CRJ, and one was even an Embraer, the first aircraft from them I saw. After all of those flights, a good airliner finally came in, a Lufthansa A350. I used to hate this aircraft. Now I don't. After seeing it in person, it's won me over. Still think that cockpit design is ugly, but it's overall a good aircraft. This is also my first sighting of Lufthansa, an airline that everyone loves because their fleet is insane. After that, 2 777s started going down the international taxiway. The first one was Turkish Airlines, and the second one was British Airways, which I can't stop calling BOAC, even though they changed their name like 70 years ago. Turning our attention back to flights actually flying, 3 more United flights were up next.
Yeah, there wasn't anything exciting coming for a while.
An American Airlines A321 came to break up the monotony of constant United. And then it was right back to United with another A319. United then took the opportunity to show off the awesome planes they weren't flying on the close runway, as the 787 and 757 taxied along the international path. Before finally, the absolute highlight of the day showed up. A China Airlines Cargo 747. The other Av geeks had told me that there was nothing good coming in on this runway for a long while, so we were all quite shocked and excited to see the silhouette of the Queen of the Skies coming into view. Yeah, remember how I said Cargo Lux was my second favorite livery of 747s that flew into O'Hare? Yeah, this is the first. Absolutely majestic. Gotta love the 747. And even better, once it reached the end of the runway, it turned around and rolled back past us on the taxiway, giving me another and much better lit view of this amazing aircraft and livery. As expected, a parade of narrow-bodies followed the 747 with 2 United flights and 1 American Airlines flight. Then another highlight showed up. A UPS cargo flight with a very rare Airbus A300, the first ever Airbus. And although this one isn't a very old one, you can definitely tell that it's an old design, not only because of the small size and lack of winglets, but also because of the extremely unique engine noise. I never thought I'd see one of these, so I'm glad I did. Then another United flight came in. By this point, I wasn't filming many of the boring United A320s and 737s, but I'm glad I was for this specific one because it was the Star Alliance special livery. After that, with actually no good flights coming in for a while, we decided to take a little detour away from the hill into a different spot at O'Hare, over by the cargo terminals, to see a very special aircraft that the other AvGeeks had told me would be there. An aircraft that I've wanted to see ever since I learned about planes. An aircraft from a dead manufacturer that realistically should not be here, but it was. And the secret highlight of the trip and king of O'Hare Airport, this. Parked here in the cargo terminal was an incredibly rare McDonnell Douglas MD-11F Tri-Jet, painted for UPS. These things are impossible to find in 2026, and are truly the last remnants of the golden age of the wide-body aircraft, when Tri-Jets were the main jets you would see at many airports. The MD-11 was really the last hurrah for the Tri-Jet configuration, and there's very few of them left, as this stored one demonstrates. This beast was built for my all-time favorite airline, Thai, all the way back in 1992. Here's a picture of it at Kai-Tak in 96, when it was only 4 years old. Hard to believe this is the same aircraft. In 2006, it was P2F converted and sold to UPS, and it served with them for a long time until 2025. You see, it was here at O'Hare getting loaded in November of 2025, right when the call from the FAA to ground the MD-11F came in following the UPS incident in Kentucky. Following that, UPS decided to retire their MD-11Fs permanently, and so it was simply left here. The grounding has since been lifted, but with no call to return to service, it's just been sitting here. However, recently, the engine plugs that were on it before have been taken out, and there's rumors swirling that it's going to depart soon for its final flight to an aircraft boneyard in the West, so I'm very glad I got to see it when I did. This will definitely be the only UPS MD-11 I ever see, and possibly the only one I ever see, period. Since we had to drive right past them, I decided to make a stop on the way back to get a better picture of the closest of the 3 FedEx 767Fs that were sitting at the FedEx terminal. We made it back to the hill just in time to see the final planes from the long, uninterrupted string of United narrowbodies. finally, we got another airborne widebody. It was a DHL 777F with the We Have Spirit Airlines at Home yellow livery. I actually think it looks better than Spirit Airlines. The red lining kind of makes it look like McDonald's, though. I don't know why I'm comparing this livery to so much other stuff, but it was cool. At this point, I had given up trying to get all the United flights, but since I hadn't seen very many American flights, I decided to film this 737. Then I got my second of the two departures I saw, which was a Qatar Airlines A350. I really like this livery. Definitely works better on the A380s, but it doesn't look half bad here on an A350. It also gave me my only airplane death stare of the entire trip, which I barely caught on camera.
That is seemed all the way. All the way through. Zoom it up there.
Then I got my final United 737 before the grand finale. That grand finale being a Lufthansa Airbus A340. I have been tracking this thing pretty much since I got here, and the only reason I stayed this late was because I was specifically waiting for this aircraft to come in. Sadly, it took the far runway, but that's what Zoom is for, right? Lufthansa is retiring these over the next couple of years, so I really wanted to see one. Also, I just think they look super funny. And if I want to see all the Airbus variants, which I do, have to see this. And I got a pretty good shot too, considering how far away it was. And while we were packing up, we got 2 more flights, the final 2 of the trip, which of course both had to be ugly Embraers. With no more major flights coming in and the fact it was getting dark, it was time for us to return to the hotel, where we would get a good night's sleep before waking up to go to Bentonville Yard tomorrow. I had an absolute blast at O'Hare Airport. I very much want to go back, but it's so far away and inconvenient to get to that I don't think I'll be back until next year's Memorial Day extravaganza. Either way, I had a lot of fun with the time I was there, and I caught a lot of good planes to boot. I bet Panda's in the live chat right now complaining about it. Either way, I hope to see you in the next video. Make sure to catch those aircraft while you can, especially the tri-jets, and I will see you in the next video.